Hello guys, it's Crystal Briefs and welcome to the second part of this video. If you haven't watched part 1, I've linked to that video in the description, so I highly suggest you watch that first, but not necessary to understand this video. By the way, if you want to learn more about how battle works in Lords Mobile, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. So just a brief recap from the last video. The first rule I mentioned was that each troop type makes 4 squads, as long as you have at least 4 troops. The second one means each tier of the same troop type will be equally separated into each squad. The third one is pretty obvious. The squads on the same side don't physically interfere with each other, so they can overlap as many times as possible. The last one was about the travel speed, and I explained that the ranged troop is the slowest on the field. Also, the travel speed is fixed across tiers for the same troop type. So now let's move on to part 2 of this video. So I'm starting this part with how the overall strength of a squad is determined. I think it's pretty intuitive. So the total strength of a squad is equal to stats times tiers times the number of troops in that squad. I think this equation applies to all stats. And in case if you're wondering, the strength of each tier goes like this. If the strength of tier 1 is arbitrarily set as 1, T4 would be 4.5 and T5 would be 6. And T5 is 1.33 times stronger than T4. I tested this myself, so I believe it's accurate, but feel free to raise doubt on this. Alright, let's move on. We've got plenty to go through together. So the next thing is about squad targeting system. There are quite a few rules, but you don't really have to remember these since they're all kind of intuitive except when the wall is present. So first, a squad can only attack one enemy squad at a time, and they can retarget to a different squad only when the current target enemy squad is completely destroyed or when the retargeting event occurs, as we'll see later on. Thirdly, the squad targets the enemy squad that is the closest to themselves at battle commencing or when retargeting occurs. However, this is where there are exceptions, about which I'll make a video later on, so make sure to stay tuned. Next, I'm going to talk about the retargeting rules when the wall is present or when the wall has more than 0 HP. So this is relevant basically when you're attacking a castle or a dark nest. And it's slightly different to the rules in the previous slide. I know this is a lot of text, so don't try to remember now, but you can come back to this later when something came up in the battle report. So when the wall is present, all attackers' squads target the wall and make the destruction of the wall their first priority. From the defender's perspective, only ranged and siege are able to engage in the battle at this point. The ranged would be sitting on the wall and the same general targeting rules apply to them. But when it comes to siege on defender's side, their attack can fly over the wall and attack the enemy ranged first. After they kill the attacker's ranged, and if the wall is still alive, they'll target the enemy siege. Bizarrely, once the wall is broken, the defender's siege continues to attack the enemy siege, and no retargeting occurs while it does for the other troop types. So what you want to make sure when you want to siege walk back in a rally is that you have to break the wall before the defender's siege starts to attack your siege. After the wall is taken down, the siege will follow the general rule. Also, it's this forced retargeting at wall breakdown that makes it almost impossible to put the ranged as the front line after wall breakdown when you're attacking, because inf or cav will almost always come in front of the ranged before the wall breaks. Alright, now that you've survived through the most complicated part of this video, let's do some exercises to get your mind refreshed. So imagine a mixed battle, and I'll randomly circle a squad, and I want you to guess which enemy squad it will attack as the battle begins. So let's go. The first one, and the answer is this one. Next, what about this one? And it will attack this one. And the last one. This one is a bit tricky. So this squad will attack the inf. Actually, when it comes to wedges, the two squads at the very front receives attack first. And the retargeting is very tricky, so I'll address that in the future videos. The next rule I'm going to explain is about how a squad receives attacks. So when a squad has multiple tiers of troops, the lowest tier of troops takes the damage first. So the rate of troop loss in that squad is not flat. The squad loses troops fast when there's a lower tier of troops. But after the transition into higher tier troops, in other words, after the lower tier troops completely evaporate, the troop loss becomes slower. I think most of you kind of already know this, so I'll move on. The second one in this category is also kind of obvious. A squad can receive attacks from multiple squads at the same time. Remember the setup in the exercise, ignore the siege. One of the defenders' squads will take attacks from 3 squads at the same time, while one of the attacker's squads will take attacks from 6 squads at the same time. Oh, poor little inf squad. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. It's about heroes. As you know, one squad can only have 1 hero attendance, but a lot of you might not know that heroes can affect the position of a squad. I'll show you here. On the left, it's ranged without heroes. There's nothing strange. The ranged squads are in one straight line. But on the right, there's 2 ranged heroes, and I want you to look closely at the position of each squad. You can see the squads with heroes are 1 step behind, and that's because heroes' tactical skill has a different reach to normal squad attacking. This is the case across all 3 troop types. More often than not, this doesn't really matter, but sometimes heroes slightly changing the squad position has a tremendous effect on the battle outcome, usually in wonder rallies. I'll have to address this phenomena a lot in the future. Now we are almost there. The last rule I want to introduce is the accuracy of what you see in the battle movie. As far as I know, the battle movie is very accurate. In fact, the battle report is based on the result of the battle movie or combat simulation, whichever you prefer. It's just a bunch of calculations, so you'll get the report instantly, but the battle movie is designed to run for 40 seconds. And the result of that is shown as the battle report. A lot of people ignore the battle movie, but actually there's so much valuable information that you can't possibly get from just the battle report. Also, the bar you sometimes see at the top of a squad is also an accurate reflection of how much troops are left in that squad. Only the squads being attacked have the HP bar, so you can actually track which squad is attacking which quite precisely if you want to go the extra mile. By the way, the morale you see in the battle movie has nothing to do with battle outcome, and I'll maybe explain that in other videos. Now to the summary. I've talked too much in this video, so I'll just shut up and show you the summary here. I think that's the end of this long video, and I really appreciate your attention. I'd be so glad if you like my video and subscribe to my channel so that I can keep making informative videos like this in the future. Thanks for watching, and see you later.